Hello, my name is Caden. This is Castle Tula, your home defense network. Well, I was at Gander Mountain taking a class last week, and I was taking a home defense class with a handgun. And there's been a shift on how people are training other people. It's not that they're not just only talking about how to shoot, stances to shoot. They're really putting down your choice of guns also. If it is not a Glock 19 or a Smith & Wesson 9mm M&P, they'll even go as far as a Springfield with all the full safety features on them. If they're not in that category, it is a wrong gun to have. And I have a hard time giving my money to people where they are telling me that my choices in handguns are irresponsible and wrong. The difference is, and I also should say that this was a combat focus style of class where it was designed by Rob Pincus for the most part, and these guys are the little copies of Rob Pincus. I like Rob Pincus in many different aspects. He has a good outlook on certain activities. Now, what this guy was actually trying to do is, I don't have my gun here. It is getting cleaned right now. The gun that I was training with was the CZ75 P01 chambered in my 9mm. It is a compact gun. It has a hammer. It is a DASA with a decocker. Now, I'm a strong proponent of new gun owners not going for something like this Beretta, and I'll get into it shortly. Not getting into something where you have to have heavy manipulation. You want something where if you are peeing down your leg and the adrenaline is pumping, you don't want your fingers to act like toes. All right? And how do you do that? Well, you get the most simplest gun that you can get. The only striker fire gun I have is the Smith & Wesson Shield. Okay, it's the only one I have. I just find it more comfortable with the hammer style DASA. Even though that this is a Beretta, it does have a safety on it, which I don't like it, but it is a decocker. If you see it go down like that. So when you're doing the training thing, well, let's just get into it. The reason why he says that you should never be using an SADA style of handgun is because of the trigger pull. Okay, let's bring this back out. You're at full cock, half cock. Well, this one goes down to full cock, but the CZ also has a half cock scenario. So what you're doing is every time you originally pull out the gun, you have the full action of the trigger. Now, when it goes into single action, it is far superior than any striker fire gun. Okay. Now, I must admit, one of the issues that you will come across is simple. Is that when you are dealing with a double action trigger, sometimes you will bring the gun down and you're going to be shooting low. And guess what I did with that gun? He looked at me and he goes, "I told you so." And then my gun was in single action. I put a group in like this of 6 rounds. Okay, and I go, that's why I like what I like, because you have to be pretty damn good to do that at not 21 feet. It was the one in 14 feet. Wait, 14 feet from the hole. Just say that this was a full-size gun. This trigger, for a lot of people, including me, you're not going to have a group like this with a striker fire trigger. I don't care. There are some people on this planet that will be able to do this. So I'm going to just get into it. What he says is bad. you're going to have the same pull with the Striker Fire. You're going to have less manipulations on it. This one actually has a thumb safety on it. However, they are making shields now that doesn't have a thumb safety. Guess what? I don't run it with a safety. All I do is I present, push out, boom. Okay. He's also saying that the bore axis is lower, that you're going to have a lower perceived felt recoil, and not necessarily torque, but recoil. My thing is that if the definition of you being a very good shooter compared to not being a very good shooter is the minor difference between the bore axis of a Striker Fire gun and a hammered fire gun, well, you really have other issues. Okay, so that is the two major flaws what he says that my gun is, and I'll just sum it up. Striker Fire is going to have the same pull all the time. It's not going to have all the bells and whistles on it where you have to manipulate your thumb or other fingers, and that's why I'm a strong proponent of not having lasers and other lights on this, because of the same reasoning behind what combat focused training really actually does. Okay. The other problem I was having is, again, when you go to a training facility, I'm not going to diss them by not doing what they want me to do. He wants combat focused shooting is more not looking at the front sight, but looking at the target and pressing out. Now, let me try to get that. Pressing out and doing basically shooting in the general direction. Okay, I tried it, and when I'm focused on doing something that is much different in manipulation, I do that first shot, and I laughed after I did the first shot because I gave him literally the ammunition he needed for him to prove to me that my gun is not a good gun for self-defense, which I kind of balk at. Okay, so Striker Fire, I believe it is a good beginner pistol for people who are in the beginning stages. A hammered fire pistol is a half step to a full step higher. With the decocker, with the manual manipulation of the hammer, with the safety, if you do have it. I don't advocate having a thumb safety for any reason. So the main thing is, when you are a beginner, you do not know what you don't know. Learn on this, become very good at this. Then, if you want, switch it to a DASA, decocker only, and you go from there. When you're going to these training schools, abide by how they want you to proceed, and then once you come out of it, you got to figure out what you want to retain and grasp. Okay? My name is Caden. This is Castle Toolage, your home defense network. I hope this helped.